I want her to see that image like, I don't want to worry about nothing. Let me put it this way. I thought about it like, I don't want her to be 20, 21, starting to get into a serious relationship and then thinking of, her having baggage, her being hurt from something that I allowed to happen in my household.
You're enjoying the Conveying Culture podcast with our host, StarrArmstrong.
My name is StarrArmstrong. I am the founder of Clever Communities in Action. I am an advocate for the Black community, and I am also a Black woman raised by a single father from the ages of 12 to adulthood. Peace. How you doing there, Kendall?
I'm doing good. How you doing?
I am great. I see you have your beautiful baby girl up here with you.
Yeah, this is K. Marie.
Hey, precious.
Girl, say hey.
How old is she now?
She's 5 months now.
5 months.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, look, I am excited to have you on this Conversations with Fathers series. I look forward to hearing what you have to say. You are my youngest guest out of all of the people on here. I think you are the only millennial. Oh. So I am excited about hearing about fatherhood from your perspective. So I guess we'll jump right into it if you don't mind. Mm-hmm. So tell everybody your name, your age, your marital status, and how many children you have.
Yeah, I'm Kendall Davis. I'm 24, and I'm married to my wifey, who's probably gonna take her right now. And then, so yeah, we have one kid, one baby girl.
All right, awesome. Yes. So, I want to tell everybody a little bit about you before we go any further. So I know Kendall because he used to work with a news station in the Hampton Roads area, and he came out to record and report one of our events, and I ended up being in conversation with him and found out that he's a young brother who is community minded and is using his gift, his talent to make sure that our stories are being told. And because of that, of course, I was very excited and proud of him. And that's definitely one of the reasons why I wanted to make sure that he was a part of this. Also got to meet his wife, his lovely wife, and I just really love the dynamics of their relationship and what they bring to what they brought to our area and to each other. So that's my little spiel about Kendall, and we'll get right on into these questions. So the first thing I want to ask you, how has fatherhood changed you, Kendall? Peace.
Well, it's still changing me, but it's changed me a lot so far, like in these 5 months. One thing the most is it went from being about me, being able to count on being able for like, if I make a mistake, it's just on me, it's just impacting me, to, going on, I feel it more so on my wife and on my daughter. So, if I make a mistake, I feel like it's more so family-wise instead of just like while it was just on me. Even though my wife and I, we were dating for like 3 years, 4 years, going on 4 years before we got married, it's still like I was still kind of myself, If I made a mistake with my money, it was on me. If I wanted to come home late, it was on me. But now it's like, it just puts an added pressure, puts an added responsibility on me. So I feel like it's kind of made me a sharper person. Definitely.
Made you a stronger person. Okay.
Yeah, stronger.
Okay. So let me ask you this. What is your relationship like with your father?
It's actually great. I mean, growing up, I call my dad like my best friend. My dad's a pastor, so, it was, having to deal with, I didn't necessarily feel like a pastor's kid, but he did have a lot of things going on as far as not being able to be at home all the time as much as I would say I liked, but it was still like a great relationship as far as I could go to him and talk to him about things. He was there for me. He coached my teams, coached all my like basketball, football, baseball teams, all the way up to high school where he coached me in high school. So it was like, it was a relationship because I saw what he did for me and what he did for my family, and then seeing, that he still made time for me. That he still made time. And I think that was too, just because he's at a different part of his life. He was older. So my dad was 47 when I was born. So, it's like and I had 2 older brothers that he had when he was younger. So it's like, I kind of came up as an only child. I got brothers and sisters. So seeing that, I think that he already had the experience of what he had dealt with. Not to put it that way, but, he already had experience with 2 other kids. So to come and to have me later on in his life and he's more experienced, I feel like really increased our relationship.
Okay. So what are some of the greatest lessons or influences that you feel your father has had on you, and how has that affected your parenting style as a father so far? And I guess for you also being so young in this journey, how do you think it may affect you? Because you're like 5 months in.
Yeah, I'm 5 months in, but I don't know. I mean, I think one of the biggest lessons he showed me, he showed me what it took to be where he is. And I think that's something that I overlooked until I had my daughter. Was that I would see him treat my mom the way that he treated her, as far as he would cook for her. He would, for anniversaries, he would do all these nice things and special things. And, I saw that and wanted to instantly do that with my wife. And I didn't notice because I would go to work with him during the summer. We would cut grass. He would be from working 2 or 3, 4 jobs, including being a pastor. We from going cutting grass to sweeping the hair off the barbershop floor when he was cutting hair, to going with him to church meetings. To see that, it didn't register until I had my baby, that was what was going into being able to do what he did for my mom. So, and what he was able to do for me. So, I say the biggest thing I picked up was just seeing what he did, as far as seeing his work ethic, seeing, it was a journey to get to where he was when he was with me. And that's what I really picked up on. And that's what's really I'm using now, is that, I have pressure because I want to do so much stuff for my daughter, so much stuff. But I'm not there yet as far as being able to do all that I want to do. So I just have to keep working and keep getting there. And that's one of the biggest things I picked up from my dad, is that, if I keep working, keep getting there, it's going to happen if I just keep that work.
Do you feel that you have that having such a strong relationship with your father and having him present in that way, do you feel that gave you any advantages over people or peers who may not have had such an influence from their father?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like it does in certain instances. I feel like it did because my dad, I can see how my dad would have impacts on some of my friends growing up that their father wasn't there. Being a pastor, being a mentor, he had the influence on them. And it's like, I get to go home. I would think to myself, man, I get to go home with that. They come to me, and that stays with me every day. So, I mean, I definitely feel like, I'm the type of person to feel like if you got to have a man and a woman in the household, and that's the best way to set your child up for the future. So, I mean, of course, I feel like having a dad in there really did give me an advantage on school life, personal life, going out, whatever. My relationship with my wife, my relationship with my daughter. Having a dad there for me was every bit. I feel like it gave me an advantage on every bit of it. So, yeah.
Awesome. Now, do you feel that did your father, whether directly or indirectly, having your dad in your life, did it have any influence on how you chose your wife?
I don't think so. I don't think it did. He had an influence on me getting to where I met my wife, but I don't think it necessarily had a influence on, choosing my wife and who she was. I think the most influence it had was how I treated her, and how that I saw, when I kind of realized and kind of clicked that I wanted her to eventually, build a future with her. It clicked to where I knew how to treat her, and I knew how to keep her. Yeah. So that's where it clicked. So I think it wasn't more so choosing her, I think it went more so into knowing how to choose her, knowing how to keep her. Now, my mom, on the other hand, she kind of would play more of a bigger part in choosing her because, you feel like you can't take anybody home to your mom, but you feel like your dad will understand. I don't know. I feel like my dad will understand who I brought home no matter what. But even though he loves Ebony and everything, but yeah, I feel like it was more so on treating her than it was choosing her or whatever. I feel like I was chosen. I don't feel like I chose her.
Okay. Well, I mean, and that, I think that's something that's important though, because you said having a father around and having a father, you saw the way that your dad treated your mom. So it gave you a model as a man on how to treat the woman who you chose or who chose you. But once you became committed to this woman, you had a model on what to do. And I think, do you think had you not had that model that it could have affected your ability to be able to treat her in a negative way?
Yeah, I don't
think it could have made it more tough.
Yeah, it would have made it. I think it definitely would have made it more tough. I don't know if she would have been as patient with me as she had been, because it still took me a little while, even though I had my dad, even though I had that model. So I mean, I'm just thinking like, yeah, it definitely would have been a different dynamic if I didn't have that model there for me. See, that was a good question, because yeah, it definitely, if he wasn't there, I would like to think I would have grown up, but like I never know. I mean,
you had a model, you had something, you had a standard, because I think, and this is why, part of why I'm doing it's a multitude of reasons why this conversation is important to me, but one of them is to help people realize the importance, men and women, of having fathers present. And so it helps to see a model of how to behave. I mean, in anything in life, if you were able to see how it was done, it doesn't necessarily mean that everybody rises to that occasion, but it definitely helps if you're able to see how it was done. Our previous interview talked about exposure and how much of an advantage it is in life when you are exposed to certain things. And there are some people in this world where the path is already carved for them. And, versus when you got to go in there and, dig and blaze and all that. So I think that's a valuable thing that you're saying there. Now, my next question, I don't know how this is going to work, because you guys are brand new parents. But tell me if anything, even if it's something mental that you're dealing with right now, what are some challenges that you feel you are facing as a father?
One, it kind of goes back to the first thing I said, how it's kind of changing me. I'm still changing as far as the challenge of being a dad, as far as being a good dad. What I saw with my parents that I never wondered. When my parents, I grew up, not to say I had everything, but everything I needed was there. So even if sometimes they didn't give me the things that I asked for, what I needed was there, and I knew I could count on them. I knew they had my back. Like, that's one thing that kind of gets on me, is that I want to be like that for my daughter now. That's one of the challenges to get to, is that, I want her to see that image, like, I don't want to worry about nothing. Let me put it this way. I thought about it like, I don't want her to be 20, 21, starting to get into a serious relationship, and then thinking of, her having baggage, her being hurt from something that I allowed to happen in my household. So it's like, and I kind of have that thought on myself now. It's like, I don't want to scar her. I don't want to damage her mentally. That's going to damage her in the future. So whether it's something as simple as like not coming home at night, leaving her wondering where I'm at, or, me not treating my wife right, that's something that's on my mind as far as, I just want to make sure I'm trying to be perfect, trying to give her the best life that she can. And that's a big challenge. And see, and another thing is, my next point was about to be the same one, as far as, just being, I don't want to act like I'm too perfect for her, because I do need to let her know where I mess up. I do make mistakes. But yeah, my challenge now is just kind of knock out all my bad habits. Like, my bad habits like procrastination or whatever. Knock out my bad habits where I can be the best man that she can see. you know. Then eventually I tell her where I used to mess up or whatever. But right now, my challenge is, you know, I'm trying to build that image of daddy. Like, that's daddy. He's got me. He's got my back. He's got mommy's back. He protects me and mommy protects me.
Wow. Well, I want to say that foresight that you have right there is so powerful. I'm sure there's a collective from all the sisters who are tuned in, watching this right now, and a collective like, yeah, I get it, man, from all the men who are watching this video right now. But that foresight that you have for your daughter and, you know, any other children you all may decide to have is so phenomenal. And it's powerful for a dad to be thinking that already. And you say you don't want your baby girl to have any baggage when she in life or when she goes into a relationship as a result of you know, some daddy issues. And there are no perfect parents, but I think the fact that it's commendable and you're 24 that you're already thinking along those lines, because nobody's going to be perfect in anything they do, but that you already set out with that in mind is really, really powerful. And you know, it just speaks a lot, again, to the importance of having a father. And people think a lot of times about a boy having a dad and, you know, the man needs his father. True. But children need their father. Girls need their dads too. And again, I'm saying this as a woman who was raised by her father. So good stuff there. Good stuff. Any particular triumphs or joys, or what are the things right now that you've experienced in these 5 months that just have you like, oh, this is just wonderful?
Yeah, man, everything. Her smiles. She's getting to the point now to where she's like building her personality, so she's starting to laugh at certain things, starting to pick things up and throw them down, and it's like I don't know, it's not a honeymoon stage or nothing, but, you know, it's just everything that she does. I come home from work and see her, and it just brightens me up. So that's like one of the biggest, just right now, every day of life. I mean, it's still, I was telling my wife, it still clicks like every day. Like something gets deeper to why I'm a dad, why I'm a father. Like, she's depending on me, she's counting on me. Like, that clicks kind of every day. Like, it gets a deeper meaning. I get a better understanding of what it feels like every day. So when I come home and see her, like, that's like the biggest triumph, the biggest joy. Actually, the biggest triumph is when she was born, she took a little while to pee. Whenever she was born, so it was like they were trying to get her to pee or whatever. So we were worried. It was like, dang, is something going on with her bladder? Something wrong with her? Then the nurse brought her back in from the nursery. She was like, she peed. So my parents were in the room with us, and we all celebrated, like, yay. And we had no idea what's going on. So that was probably one of the biggest triumphs. But we're getting there. She's still about to start crawling soon. So more triumphs are on to come. But yeah.
Beautiful, beautiful. You have some shout out to everybody who is watching this. Kyrie, thanks for tuning in again. Craig, what's going on? I'm interviewing our young father here. Kendall, and Rodney is saying he understands the feelings, bro. Kendall. So yeah, if you see the comments here. But that's beautiful. That's wonderful. I love that story. So next thing I want to ask you is, what role does Ebony, your wife, play within your fatherhood journey?
Man, what role doesn't she play? She's everything as far as she keeps my head on straight. You know, like I told you, like I'm changing, I'm working through my challenges of everything that I'm trying to get right for my daughter. Time to time, you know, when you're changing, it's hard because things will try to fade you back, try to slip you back into who you were. And I think her role is keeping me, you know, she's my rock. Like, you know, she's like Plies said, she's my rock. But like she is, like she keeps me funded, she keeps me foundation wise. She's not gonna let me fail. She's not gonna let me fall to the side or anything. And I let her be my motivation, because it's like, I'm gonna do everything I can to make sure I don't lose her. So to me is if I make her happy and I do the things right with her, then my daughter's gonna be happy, because, you know, it's like the trickle down effect. If I'm treating my wife right and I'm doing her right, I'm keeping her happy. Part of keeping her happy is being a great dad. part of her keeping her happy is taking care of my responsibilities and making sure everything's in order. So with that there, that allows me to just easily step in into, I feel like, be a good dad, be a great dad for our daughter. So her role is, you know, she's like the goal setter, I guess. She gives me what I need as far as, you know what I mean? Like, she's what I need to be better. So I think that's her role is just kind of, like I said, put everything. She's like the foundation. And that kind of goes where I feel like if I want to be a good husband, I got to do what I want to do for her. If I want to be, it kind of goes, because I'm a Christian man. So if it goes to being a good Christian, it goes to, you know, being a good Christian should lead me to being a good husband, and then being a good husband should lead me to being a good father. And all those things go down the line and trickle down, and that's just where she is. She's right up there with me, and she's in line with me being a good husband. So
beautiful. Now let me ask you this, and this is not to pass judgment on anybody's situation, because like I tell people, my parents were not married when I was born, but I do want to ask you, do you feel that there are advantages to you being a married father versus if you were doing this if you weren't married or in a committed situation?
Oh, definitely. I mean, I see it. Like, I see what goes on because I know people I know men that, you know, are in relationships with their baby's mother, and I see the challenges that are there, whether they're like small challenges to, like, you know, they want to be with their daughter or child or son, you know, they want to be with them all the time, but they just simply can't. Or the extreme things where the mother talks bad, but, you know, where it's back and forth and there's a toxic relationship between the two. So yeah, definitely being in this married relationship, one, I get to be here for my daughter whenever I need to be, whenever I can be, I get to be here for her. And I get to show her probably like how a man's supposed to love her, how, you know, teach her the way things are supposed to go. As opposed to, you know, if I was in another relationship, possibly having another girlfriend and then her mom saying something bad about the woman who I might love. You know what I'm saying? Or her mom. It's just a bunch of challenges. So yeah, to answer your question, yeah, I mean, I definitely feel the advantage. I definitely feel the advantage of having my wife in this relationship. And also too, because when we got married, we went through marriage counseling. So that helped us a lot too, because going through marriage counseling kind of prepped us for what we would go through. Kind of helped us get ready to handle what we would go through. So yeah, just that and going through that counseling, counting on each other. Yeah, this is definitely an advantage.
Awesome. Now, do you all have people outside of your parents that you all kind of rely on? Do you have a village, an extended village at all?
Yeah, we do. And without them, things would be different. Right now, like I said, we moved to Richmond, so we're close to Ebony's family. So, you know, we have like her aunt and uncle. They help out every time we go home. Every time we go to my hometown, it seems like people from my church are doing stuff for my daughter, whether it's like either getting her Pampers or getting her a gift card, or even we went to another baby shower in her mom's hometown. Went to another baby shower and my baby got a gift. So it's like things like that. It's like, yeah, we definitely have a village. We definitely have people around us, people who've never even met my daughter, who love, you know, who I feel the love that they give, whether it's on social media from my cousins or whether it's something that my mom says she got in the mail that somebody sent her. Yeah, we definitely feel the village love.
That's great. We talk a lot about it takes a village to raise a child, and I think it's important that we have that village and that we create that village and we reach out to that village and that we all play our part. You're getting some love up here. I'm going to read some of these comments. Benita Vernon says, good job, Kendall. I can tell you're a good father. Craig Rice, I love this take on fatherhood and his obvious great training by his dad. Definitely. Timothy Williams, who will be a panelist also, a guest also in this series, says it's definitely an advantage to be married to the mother of your child. I believe that's what he's referring to. And Nehemiah Bell said, my boy Kendall. And then you got some hearts up here. So I only have a few more questions. I'm not going to keep you too long. But what is it that what are some of the things that you want most for your daughter? Or what is the thing you want most?
The thing I want most is for her to have a legacy, to leave a legacy for her. As far as whatever she needs, I want to be able to provide it. So if it's to where a point to where she wants to go out and work, and then the boss treats her bad and she loses her job. The biggest thing I want for my daughter is to be like, it's fine, Daddy got you. You can come work with us. You can work with me. Let me show you how I do things. Let me show you how things work. I want to leave a legacy for her, to where she has room to build for her own, and then two, she can we can always be there for her, and she can always build off what we have for her too. So that's one of the main things I want to leave for, and also too is just that strong impression on her. Like what my dad left on me on how to treat my mother. I want to leave that on her, on how a man should treat her when she grows up, like I alluded to earlier. Because she 5 months, I hate to think about it, but I know eventually she gonna grow up, and eventually she gonna have a boyfriend or whatever. So, yeah, I feel like it starts now. I feel like it starts early. The earlier we can start, the better it is. I'm not saying it's never too late, but I feel like the earlier I can start for her, the better. So, that's really what I want for her is her future. It's her future to be.
I think it's really, again, the foresight that you have, and again, you're 24, and I'm just really thoroughly, impressed with you and Ebony. Okay, I thought it was going to do not disturb, but I'm really impressed with the foresight that you and she have for your daughter, and I just think that's really great. And it's always good to see the generation behind us, when we can look and be like, okay,
and it's not everything.
It's going to be all right.
Perfect, and I
can't hear you now, Kendall.
Can you hear me now? I think I have my hand covering it up. Can you hear me now?
Kind of. I don't know. It may be something on my end because that call came in. Say something.
Hello?
Okay, it's lower for me, but
let me try.
I can't. I thought this thing was on do not. It is on do not disturb.
All right, can you hear me better? Can you hear me now?
It's a little better now.
Okay.
Everybody tuning in. Can you all hear him? Okay, thank you, Sean. Sean always comes through. They said they can't hear you, so I can hear you well enough.
But what I was getting at, is, and the thing is, like, I like how it's just not perfect, how everything's not perfect. We're not trying to make it seem like I try to do things perfect or I am perfect, because, nobody is, and it's not. But if it's a good feeling, because I feel like we're growing towards being as good as we can be. We're going towards being the best that we can be. So, and I think that's being brought out by my daughter and by my wife, is that they're bringing out the best of me. So, it's only right that I give back the best of them. So, yeah.
Beautiful, beautiful. Thank you, everybody, for letting me know that you guys can hear him. And yeah, it's not coming across at all that you guys feel like you're perfect. It's just a lot of times, when it comes to life, period, but especially with parenting, because it's like you are raising up a whole human who is going to then come out into this society and have the ability to, wreak havoc on the world and the people that they encounter, or to, build the world up and build people up around them them and make it a better place. And so having foresight into that is something that is really important. And unfortunately, you got to have a license to drive a car. You got to have a license to go fishing. You got to take classes to do all these different things, but not to be a parent. So it's very impressive to see a young person such as yourself already thinking these things ahead of time when it comes to parenting. And of course, there'll be mistakes that are made, but when you go in it with a plan, that says a lot. So I think that's commendable, and I'm sure everybody who is watching this feels the same way. So is there any advice? I know you are new in your journey, so but nonetheless, is there any advice that you would give to other young or new fathers?
Just to me, it's just just do what's right. Like, feel what you do is right. 9 times out of 10, actually 10 times out of 10, pretty much, if I'm doing something that's in question and I feel like it's right, I'm going to do it. If I feel like it's wrong, I'm the type of person that's not going to do it. So, just do what's right, and that's the best thing for your daughter. That's the best, or your son. Is that, and also too, just think of the long-term goal. Think of like you said, I try not to think of now. And that's one of my, weaknesses, because I think too far down the road. But that's what I have my wife for, because she thinks here and now, so she keeps me grounded on that. But it's like, just think ahead. One thing, how is this going to affect? Try to think, how is this going to affect my family? How my actions today this is going to make my wife happy. This is going to make my daughter happy down the road. Think of just think of the future. Don't just think of now with your child, because if you think of just now with your child, it'll drive you crazy. So yeah, I just say think of now, and I'm always the type of person to do what I would rather want for like my parent to do for me, or like what I want for somebody to do for me. Is that just try to give her the best life. Try to give your child the best life they can possibly have, and I feel like you can't go wrong there. As if that's your motivation, is to try to give them the best life and do what's best for them. So yeah.
Great. Awesome. Great advice. And so another question I have for you, being let's see, it's not about perfection. Rodney Mullen said it's not about perfections. Consistency is key. Drop that science, Kendall. And Craig says, I wish young Craig could have heard this when my children were young. And thank you for that comment, because that is why, that's one of the reasons why this is important. And thank you, Kendall, for doing this, because, believe it or not, these conversations are very important. And I've done this as a panel discussion for several years. And, you just really begin to see that these conversations are not had often, and how beneficial it is to the people who are listening. And then how sometimes I found that it ends up, all the time, that it ended up being therapeutic for the people who were on the panel. So this is the first time I'm doing it one-on-one about this, but usually I have a panel of fathers. So thank you again, Kendall and Craig. That comment, just reinforces the reason why this is important. And if somebody out there listening to this, or who will listen to this, who feels hopeless, or who has bought into the hype about Black men and fatherhood, and it's restoring faith and hope into somebody, and it could even be a woman who needed to see this and needed to hear this and know this. So that leads into my next question. You are a young Black man. You're a 24-year-old Black man who is married and has a child. That whole stigma out there, that stereotype, Black men don't take care of their kids. They, have babies and run. Has that come across you in any kind of way? Have you encountered that? Has it have you met that in any kind of way?
I think to be real, the biggest shock is that I have a child and I'm married. I don't think the shock comes across that I have a child for people, because it's like, with Black being young and Black, it's like you either have a child or you don't have a child. And I feel like,
but I'm saying that you're there, you're present for your child, and you're married, because they definitely, the stereotype is that Black men will have babies.
Yeah, so I think that's the biggest.
That's the stereotype.
So I think for them the bigger shock is that I'm married.
I gotta get close so I can hear you. Something happened with my phone after I got that call, so I gotta get up close and personal so I can hear you.
But I'm saying, I think the most I think the biggest shock for people is that when I'm like, yeah, me and my wife, when I mention my wife, because every time they ask me, I say, yeah, my wife and I, we just moved up here, or my wife and I. So I think that's the biggest shock for them, is that I have a wife more so than I have a daughter. Now, I'm not gonna lie, I was it threw me off a little bit I had to get over the point to where, like, I was 23 when we found out she was pregnant. So it was like, I was the first of my friends, my immediate close friends, to have a child. So it was like to get used to. It just wasn't what I expected. We didn't, it threw us off guard in a sense, to where that wasn't how we planned. Like, that's not what we thought about. But to bring it back in, what I'm getting at is, it's shocked. I understand why it shocks people that I'm there for my daughter and I'm taking care of my daughter, because that's not what media, that's not what social media, TV, entertainment, that's not what shows up. That's not the most popular thing that we see. See, I definitely feel like, one, there's a shock that I'm married with my wife and that we're together happily, and that, we both still raise our daughter. I feel like that's definitely more of a shock when it comes across, not necessarily like the younger Black people our age, but possibly some older Black people that ask me, that I have that conversation with. They definitely, it's not like they come out and say they're shocked, but you can see it. Like, I feel like I can see it on their face. Like, oh, okay, you have a daughter. Oh, okay. So it's like the fact that I have a child and have a daughter, and then, like, I'm in a profession. I mean, the fact I'm married, have a daughter, and I'm in a profession, it kind of throws them off, because the stigma too is that if we have a child and we're young, then we're not, that's the doom of our Black career. As far as that, is that we can't have a career, we can't be as successful if we have a child before we turn a certain age. So I think that's another stigma that we kind of run into, because especially in the news media, a lot of people are single, they'll be in their 40s and still not have kids, they'll be older and still not have kids, and not be in a relationship. So when it comes to a lot of people I come across, yeah, it definitely does throw them off.
Well, again, this.
But I don't let that deter me.
What was that?
But I don't let it deter me in any way of doing what I need to do for her, or standing up for what I need to do for her.
Of course not. Of course not. And again, that's why this series is important, because it's showing all aspects of our community, of fatherhood within our community. So again, we have a 24-year-old married father with a 5-month-old baby. And it's phenomenal. Deborah said, isn't that a sad commentary? The fact that he married his child's mother. And yes, they were married before the baby was born. And but regardless, it is a sad commentary that people are like, oh my gosh, like, you're Bigfoot or Sasquatch, or they, ran across the Loch Ness Monster or something like that. And so that's why I keep saying it's imperative that we control our narrative. And I'm actually starting to run across more people in their 20s who actually are married and have families. I'm really starting to see more of that, and I'm glad to be able to bring exposure to that.
Yeah, one thing
was there something else you were going to add to that?
Yeah. One thing I add too, because we see it. I saw it as soon as I graduated high school with white people. Not to take it there, but I saw it was in the white community. They were getting married at 18, 19, 20, having kids, and it was normal for them. It stood out, but as a becoming a Black, that wasn't. It felt like the goal was kind of not to have kids as long as you can. Try to make it to a certain point, then have your kids. Instead of, like, I just feel like they live and there's something they accept, there's something they go on, because they don't have that certain negative connotation that for some reason we put on ourselves. So I feel like I feel like you said, I feel like that's changing, because we're starting to see it. I'm starting to see it more now that I'm like, a few years are going by, we're starting to see it more now. They're starting to get more accepted. And I feel like it's changing because, one, social media can be negative and positive, but we see the great accomplishments every day that well, at least in the pages that I follow, that married young Black men do, or like married young Black families that they're doing, and they're still living their life And that's what I just like to see, is that, and to show people that, you know, we can still live our life, we can still do things and still love each other, even though we have a child and we're young.
Right. And everybody has the right to be who they are. You know, I don't have any children that I've given birth to. But at the same time, within our community, I think that we have to set, everybody has the right to be an individual, but we also have a community, and having community goals and priorities. Mm-hmm. And there are a lot of forces that have come to attack the Black community and to attack the Black family, external forces. But when we are talking about having families and raising children, you know, I think that I don't think that it should be much disagreement that a functional, thought out and planned family unit is something that would be preferred over the opposite of that. And so I think that community goals and community planning and having the village and the examples, and again, this is why it is important for men to be present in this. And when we talk about the village, for men to be a part of that and to be role models. My previous guest again talked about the village and the influence of not only his father, but the other men who he encountered in his life. So we have to get back to a place where we understand the value of each other. And if we are going to raise children, that, you know, we have to come together, and also even the people in the village come together and filling that in. Because like I said, people will say all the time it takes a village to raise the child, but they are not doing their part of being an active villager.
Right. Yeah.
So my last question that I will ask you, Kendall, is 30 years from now, because everything for me stems from my advocacy of a strong Black community. Like I said, I'm always trying to make people aware of how the Black community came to be in the position that it's in, the good and the bad, and what those external factors are and what we're up against, but also what we can do to, create and change that narrative. So 30 years from now, and that means your daughter will be like 30. Or, yeah. So what do you hope the condition of the Black family will be? Because you just talked about some of the things that you see in comparison to other communities, and we said, it seems that we're seeing some trends starting to change. But given that where we feel it is right now, 30 years from now, what would you like to see, or what would you hope?
What I would hope to see is, like we've been talking about, the male and female household that's there. I feel like every time, like you said, going into history, every time the Black family has made a resurgence, something new has come from the enemy to kind of deter that male-female household thing that needs to be there, that they know needs to be there for us to survive, for us to thrive. I feel like there's something that comes in the way to tear that down. So, in the future, now with the way that, the information gets out, now that the way that we see things, I just hope that allows us to be kind of more aware. So as a family, that we can, in 30 years from now, that the families, we can shield off any attack from the enemy and still keep our strong family household. So that, it's not another mass incarceration spring, or it's not another crack epidemic, or it's not it's not anything else that's going to try to tear our family apart. Whether it's like, another example was like the whole welfare thing for mothers. It's like, we got over that. Let's get over that, and let's get back to the two-parent household. Let's get back to men raising their sons, and men being there for their daughters and setting an example for their daughters. And I feel like if we set that down for the family, then that's going to branch out. We're going to have sons that's going out into the world and daughters going out into the world that has that right mentality. Not necessarily everybody believing in the same thing, but it's not anything that's going to deter us. It's not anything that's going to tear us apart or hurt our community. So in all, it's just, I hope that the Black family can be strong enough to impact our whole Black community in whole,
I think that's really good what you said, and I see something consistent with you is foresight. And you actually touched on something that I say a lot. Like, the reason why I go into trying to help people understand the attacks that have come on our community is because when you understand that, and you really understand that, and you study that, then you are prepared to ensure that those things don't happen again. Because a lot of us, we kind of know these things. Like, people, most of what you named, people have heard of it, but they don't know the details of it. And so if we are just in a state of slumber, then it's kind of like those same things or something similar to it could happen again. So I think you said something very powerful to be, prepared, so that we don't get bombarded with these things again. And we're dealing with things right now. And also I feel, having an agenda defining where we want to be. And like we said before, even when you're talking about parenting, nothing is going to be perfect. But when you have a plan, you know what course you're trying to go on, and you know when you come off that course. So I think that all of us should be prioritizing our communities, which starts within our own households and then spreads out to how we behave as active villagers.
Yeah, and I feel like that new attack is already out. I feel like it's already in works. I'm not gonna go into detail what I feel like it is, because that's a whole nother conversation. But I feel like it is in works, and we just have to. I think the main remedy is that's why I show my daughter how much I love her mother, and how much is supposed to be there, because I feel like that next attack is there and it's happening, and we need to show our children the way things are supposed to be, and not feed into all the things that we see on social media. All the problems that they try to make black problems, that's like coming in and hurting our families, hurting our family structure. I feel like we need to, combat that. And like I said, feeling like I see what I'm up against, and feeling like I'm knowing what I'm up against is giving me an advantage to try to have things right for my daughter in the future.
I think that's great. I think it's really great. So is there anything else? You have Black fathers and Black women, men watching you right now, and there are some who are not tuned in right now, but they'll catch this later. Is there anything that you want to say on this topic at all before we close out?
I just say, just continue to love your child, and if it's not your child, continue to love the children around you. Continue to continue to love the people around you. So, one thing we try to do is not be too negative around my daughter. Because, I feel like, one day she's going to see that negative aspect of things. But right now, it's like she needs to see love first. She needs to learn love first. She needs to learn what it is. So, there's one thing as simple as when I do my stories. I did a story, and she was watching it. And I saw it, like, the people on TV laughed. The people in my story laughed. She was watching it, and she laughed too. So it's like, and then she'll laugh when she sees something else on TV. So it's like they pick up on everything. Whether they do it or not, they pick up on it. So I say, just the main advice is, just to show love around your babies, to show love around your children. Because there's no reason why a child should know how to hate as early as 7 or 8 years old when we see them, or even 5 actually, when I'm at work and I can see kids out, expressing hate towards people. Now they don't even know what they're doing, but it's like the words they use, the actions they use, they're expressing hate, not even fully knowing what it is. They just pick it up and throw it out there. So I feel like that's what we need to work on is, there's going to be moments where you can't always walk into another room while your child is right there. You can't always wait till later to have your conversation. And that's fine. Because like we said, everything's not perfect. But as long as we're consistent in showing love, and as long as we keep on showing love for our babies, I think that's the main thing that'll make them happy. That's the main thing that'll grow up. This is where I live, but I just grew up just trying to make her happy. Just try to give her the best thing that she can have in her life. And that everything else is going to fall under. It's like that whole tree. Like, I'm going to make my wife happy. Like I said, if I make my wife happy, then everything else under there, money, cars, house, all that's going to fall under. Because I know what I'm doing to make her happy. And then my daughter's going to be happy as an aspect of that, because I'm making her mom happy, and I know in making her mom happy, I'm doing what makes her happy, what makes my baby happy. There's just a lot of happiness going on in that.
Hey, I love that. You know, this family, I can tell, is rich in character and integrity, and that's going to go a very long way with you all. I have to say that again, I'm very proud of you and Ebony, and you have said some things tonight that I'm sure will resonate with a lot of people. And again, for the people, the 30s and up crowd, it just makes us happy to see, you know, the 20-somethings behind us with such wonderful things to say, and wonderful things that you are doing. So know that you also have the well wishes. Like, it's just going to be a whole bunch of people watching this video, sending you guys, just putting more love into the environment of love that you guys are already creating. Because when you show love, you know, you get love in return. So thank you for this. And you just said something powerful too, because you have the parents are creating that environment for your children. And it's like you got a fresh computer, nothing's on that hard drive, nothing's in there, and you're downloading, you know, the first thoughts and experiences in there. And, you know, again, that foresight to even think that and make sure that what you are putting into her mind and her experience is filled with love, and to know that you can do that. I just think it's great. Again, I'm proud of you both.
Thank you.
Glad to be a part of your extended village, and much love and success to you guys in Richmond. Let us know when you are in the Hampton Roads area. And just thanks again, and much luck and love to you guys on your journey as husband and wife and as parents.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. And like I said, I mean, I feel like our generation can change the scope of Black parenthood. We can change the stereotype of Black parenthood. I mean, we never had the power to broadcast how much we love being parents and love our children. So I think now that we broadcast out there and set a standard for every other Black family, not just me, but the thousands of other Black families out there, we set that standard. I feel like our generation can change what being a Black family means for the better. So yeah, thank you for having me. That's a great way to get it out.
Slow clap. Everybody watching, give Kendall the slow clap. I love it. I love it. I love it. Yo, as an advocate for the Black community, I love it. That meant everything. So yeah, you are very welcome. And anytime I'm having something about fatherhood of the community, I'll definitely be calling on you, okay?
Thank you. Thank you for having me. See you, everybody.
You're welcome. And thanks everybody for tuning in. And Kendall and everybody, you all have a wonderful night. Peace. Peace.
Hasta la vista,
peace.
Baby.
Peace.
So I used to be skinny and kind of muscular. I ain't that no more.